Hi everybody, I'm Marilyn Buehler. I'm an herbalist, a master gardener, and I've been doing both for close to 50, 60 years. And I love it. I've been making my own teas for probably, my grandmother who raised me, and I learned a lot of my herbal knowledge from about mixing certain things. And I try, and when I give these classes, I try and make it something interesting because there's so much you can do with herbs. I mean, literally. It's just amazing. They've been around forever. Have you ever bought tea from a, like the Republic of Tea or some of these? I like the Republic of Tea, their hibiscus raspberry. Unfortunately, I don't have any hibiscus leaves, but you can, I usually buy mine because I've yet to get them to grow and bloom here in Texas. If you'll follow along, this is just a brief history. Herbal teas are really tisanes, and that's an old centuries name for them. The tea plant, this Camellia sinensis, is the only plant that produces oolong, black tea, white tea, green tea, brown tea. White tea is harvested when the buds first come out, and then the green tea is harvested from the leaves, and those two teas are not processed as much as your oolong and your black and brown teas. And they're all, black tea is, they're harvested when the plant is going into dying for the season. They're harvested and then they're dried, and then especially the oolong and the black teas, tea masters use different ingredients, like they'll soak the dried leaves in peppermint oil or another kind of oil or another blend of teas, tea leaves or the herb leaves to get the blend they want. And one thing that I'm out of, because I've used them all, is rose petals. Rose petals, organic rose petals, add a wonderful flavor to any tea. The more fragrant the rose, the more flavorful it will be. But you can use roses that aren't scented. And the only place I know of currently to get, unless you grow your own organic rose petals, is a place in North Richland Hills called The Hangout. She sells, The Hangout is the name of the place. She sells fresh or dried organic rose petals. But whatever teas you make, try and include rose petals or lavender flowers. Roots, berries, all sorts of things are used. There's really no limit. Find one you like, experiment, and that's just what we're going to do today. You'll notice at the bottom, I put, this is the basic recipe I use, and it can be changed. Stevia, sweet leaf, will sweeten any of your tea blends. I like lemon verbena, peppermint, stevia, orange mint, and bergamot, or monarda, bee balm. That's the names given to this plant. You've all heard of Earl Grey tea. Okay, bergamot is the herb that gives it that unique flavor. So you can use it, if you like Earl Grey tea, to give your own teas that mixture. She wanted to know what the difference between fresh herbs and dried herbs. To use fresh herbs, you use twice as much. In other words, you'll use 2 tablespoons of a fresh herb and 1 tablespoon of a dried herb. As the herbs dry, their oils concentrate in the leaves. In the summer, I make sun tea a lot, and I'll use like 1 tea bag of brown tea or black tea, and in it this is in a gallon jar. I'll put my stevia, my mints, star anise. I'm out of cinnamon, so I didn't bring any cinnamon, stick cinnamon, but you can use that too. And you can add all of these, and I set it in the sun, and it is so good. We go through, 2 people, about 3 gallons of sun tea a week. It's just good and refreshing. How does one dry their herbs for the winter season? You want to cut them at their peak, right before they flower. That's not really all that necessary. You can cut them after they flower too. You just maybe need to use more, because once they start forming flowers and seed, all their energy is going toward that rather than the flavor of the herb. I have a big bowl, and I rinse them and I put them in this bowl, and then I put them out on my counter on a towel, and I let them dry. I pick off any bad leaves before I put them on the towel. I pat them dry, and I let them sit on the counter for a couple of hours to kind of air dry. And then I bring out my flats, and I just lay them in the flats. I put a paper towel over them if I'm going to dry them in my garage. The basils, sweet marjoram, they seem to dry better in the refrigerator. To dry them in the refrigerator, you want to get lunch bags, brown or white, the kind they use at the bakeries, paper bags. You want to harvest, you want to clean them like I just explained. You want to write on the bag what the herb is, because they will look different unless you're really familiar with that herb and its scent and taste. Write on the bag what it is and the date. You want to take a bundle that's about this big at the bottom, but the top of the plant. You want to stick that in the bag so the stems are sticking out. And I just use a rubber band and band it, and I put it in the top portion of my refrigerator. And in about 2 weeks, you'll have really nice, flavorful, pretty green herbs. And
you said basil was the best for that, the fridge?
Yes, but you can also dry it, hang it up and dry it in a dark, not hot, warm place. But it just dries. I've been doing this for decades. But it will dry green like that, and like the mint. You'll notice all my herbs are just a little darker and that's because I dry them properly. A lot of herbs, there's Mountain Rose Herbs, they're an organic grower. Frontier Herb Co-op, they're an organic grower. Most of the herbs that you buy that come into the United States are irradiated. Did you know that? They come, when they're harvested, most anywhere where they're not grown organically, they're just harvested. They're not washed. They're not, the bad leaves are not picked off. There may be a few bugs in there. That's why they irradiate them. That's how they clean them and make them available for we humans to eat. But if you dry your own, and if you love to garden, herbs are not hard to grow. I mean, there may be a few that just don't grow here in Texas, but an example would be French tarragon. If you're a French tarragon fan, now is the time to buy your French tarragon and grow it and harvest it. It will live down to 15, 20 degrees outside. You don't want to grow it in the spring because it will die during the heat. It just can't take the heat. But this time of year, with this lovely weather we're having, and if it continues through December, and then you'll have the spring, you'll get a nice harvest off of your French tarragon. Something that I like better, did I bring any with me? Oh no, I guess I didn't. Mexican mint marigold. I love that. I even love it better than French tarragon. The leaves. You can use the leaves and the flowers in your tea, or if you want to make a pretty salad and put flowers, they're edible. But, you know, it's just, it gives your vegetables kind of it takes the bite out of broccoli and the Brussels sprouts. It kind of makes them a little milder, and it really gives carrots a sweet flavor. French tarragon will do the same thing, but I don't grow much French tarragon since I've discovered Mexican mint marigold. We did not have that in Missouri. That's a plant that I grow here in Texas. You can store it in plastic bags, but the glass jars is what I store mine in. The question, she wanted to know why some of her herbs turn brown, and that's usually because she's drying it too fast. It got too hot. You know, for centuries, people have hung herbs in their barns, you know, before air conditioning. And I don't think it's okay to use a brown herb. I just like green herbs because I can do it. Oh, something else. I'm going to mix up some of my basic recipe here. And equal parts are kind of relative. I don't get out the measuring spoons. So I'll want to put 2 healthy handfuls of stevia, because the only tea I like unsweetened is mint tea. We're going to do some lemon verbena. Now, peppermint is a very strong herb. There's mints procreate and create new varieties every year. That's why if you're going to start your mint, you either want to start it from a plant that is definitely, most growers don't grow mint from seed. They grow it from the root. And you can grow your own from the root. You can just dig it up and put it in another pot if you want to grow more of that particular herb. Black stem peppermint is a very medicinal type of mint. It has a black stem, literally. Kind of a blackish purple stem. We don't have any here now. I like spearmint, and I'll put a little orange mint. A couple times a month, I'll mix my teas up. And I kind of let them blend a little bit. You can smash the leaves up if you want. You can add bits of star anise, whole cloves, allspice berries, stick cinnamon, lime peel. Do you all know how to make your lime, lemon, and orange peels? I like to use navel oranges. They seem to have, for me, I've discovered, I've done my unscientific research on them. You take a zester, a real fine shredder, and you shred them. I put them on a paper plate. I cover it with saran wrap, and I stick them in the freezer for about a week. Now, there's other ways. This is the way I do it, and I have discovered it makes the most. It keeps the orange or the lime or the lemon flavor more. When you take it out, I put the paper plate, I take the saran wrap off and cover it with a paper towel, and I let it set in the garage another week or two. You don't want it to get over 95 degrees. It's dark and it gets good air circulation. And I just use my garage. If you've got a closet or a spare room, you know, I say we put a solar fan in our garage, which has really helped the garage, and I work out there a lot too with different things that I do. And then you can just stack your flats
Yeah.
like that, so they don't take up a lot of room. Have any of you heard of star anise? I love star anise. And you really don't need a whole lot. I just put a few in, and I'll leave this mixture set. And you just kind of do this. Okay, this is what I use to make my tea. This, and if you have this kind of tea ball, make sure it's stainless steel. So they sell these in tin and silver colored brass. Make sure they're stainless steel. I like these little bags for tea, and I'm going to fill these up as much as I can to give you each. Oh, she wants to know if I've ever made Yopon Holly tea. The Yopon tea is better than green tea for you, and it's native to Texas. So I will be checking that out. She wants to know if she could use her laundry room, and yes, she can. During the summer, I make a big batch weekly. She wants to know how long I store my herbs, and I store them for a year. You can tell when you open them up, they'll have a nice smell to them, and they'll be crinkly, even if they're over a year. If they're stored in glass jars, they should last you quite a while. Lemongrass. What is the difference between lemongrass and lemon verbena? They're both different species of plants. Yeah, and the lemongrass has a really kind of mild, distinct. I like the lemon with lemongrass more. Now, let me tell you what lemongrass is hard to dry, in my opinion. I've never been able to dry it to my satisfaction. So I freeze it. And when I want to use it in my tea, I just, you cut it in strips, you roll it. I put 2 strips in tin foil, and I freeze it. Or you can chop it up and put it in a little container. I bought this because I was shocked to see it in the spice aisle, but I grow my own. I like Angustifolia and Munstead. Those are 2 very old, and another one is Lavandula, Lavandula. Oh yes, the question was, after the plant flowers, do I keep it for it to grow year after year? Are you familiar with perennial, annual, and biannual? Okay. I am always happy when my lemon verbena comes back. It even survived Snowmageddon a couple of years ago. And I use a lot of lemon verbena, not just in teas, but in my vegetables. If it flowers, now I do cut it back. I cut it down to about 4 inches right after it, right after we get a light frost. I'll cut it back and I'll mulch it. And it will start growing. I get 2 or 3 nice harvests a year. I've got these 3 jars of it. Oh, lemon balm is wonderful. Lemon balm is a member of the mint family. It's got a very sweet lemony flavor. If you're going to grow lemon balm, it's one of these, like the French tarragon. It can't take the hot summers. Plant it now. It will grow all winter. Lemon balm is something you really should grow if you can. What about Monarda? That's this one. It's what gives Earl Grey its flavor, but it's a perennial. It's also of the mint family, and you should be able to. I grew it this year successfully. It's also known by Monarda, Oswego tea, bee balm, hibiscus flowers. You can use the other flowers, but the red hibiscus flowers are the most flavorful, and they make your tea a really pretty red. The question is, what part of the hibiscus flower do you use? I use the whole petal. when the flower would bloom, you know how they kind of go in at night?
Yeah.
That's when I would harvest them at night. I've always used the flower.
Okay.
I've already had questions from my neighbors. What kind of tea are we getting this year? This is my retirement, and I enjoy doing it, and it's just something fun. I enjoy talking about it, and for herbal teas, I think it's on the page here, you want to let them steep about 3 to 5 minutes, and you don't want to use boiling water. You only use boiling water with oolong, black, or brown tea. Your green teas and your herb teas, just prior to boiling. You'll see a few bubbles forming. I've got an electric teapot, so I can see. It really won't hurt if you do put boiling water, but it will take away some of the flavor. Oh, echinacea. Yes, that's a medicinal herb, and yes, I have used it. The leaves, yes.
The same way?
It's kind of a general, echinacea it's good. It supports the immune system. I used to grow chamomile a lot. Now is the time of the year to grow it in Texas. Chamomile tea is known for its relaxing and soothing properties. I like to mix it with some of my spices, the stevia. But chamomile tea, there's actually 2 kinds on the market. There's Roman, which is the kind the English use for their grass because it doesn't grow real tall. It grows tall enough just to be mowed, maybe 5 to 7 inches. German chamomile produces more flowers, but is not as flavorful as Roman. We've got some here, some chamomile, and it's the flowers. You want to harvest the flowers, so you'll need lots and lots of plants for chamomile tea because you'll need a good half a tea ball here full of chamomile flowers dried to make you a nice cup of chamomile tea. Thank you all for coming today. I enjoy talking about my herbs, and if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. If not, I'll bid you all farewell till the next time.